Hey everyone, I wanted to take a few minutes to share with you some of the ways that I am using the website Flippity to change some of my teaching and get rid of some of the paper pencil type activities that I usually do and replace them with more electronic activities. So if you're anything like me, you have a file cabinet with tons of resources that you've put a lot of time and effort into and you're used to using them. Well, this year things are different. You don't have all your students in the classroom with you. We're not supposed to be sharing supplies, that sort of thing. And so we're having to think outside of the box and find ways that we can do our normal activities in an electronic way. And so I hope this little tutorial will kind of give you some ideas of how maybe you can use Flippity to help you do that. So the first drawer we're going to open is our drawer of Jeopardy questions. Most of us have some kind of like a big cardboard display that we've made this beautiful Jeopardy board on, and we have little note cards that we switch out for different units and that type of thing. Well, an alternative to using that is to use the Flippity quiz show feature. So this can be used for unit review. You might try it out just for some friendly competition, bring some competition back into your classroom, or of course just for fun. To create a Flippity quiz show, you're first going to go to flippity.net, which is where you will go for all of these things. And you can see here all the different activities that are available. So essentially the way this website works is you have a template that works through Google Docs or Google Sheets, and you plug your information in, and then somehow it magically turns it into this beautiful, attractive looking web page. So for example, if we wanted to do a Jeopardy game, you can see here the Flippity quiz show. There's three options. There's a demo, there's instructions, and a template. So I'll show you kind of using the demo feature what this would look like. So looking at the demo mode of the quiz show game, you do have the option to change the team names. So let's say you have the students get into groups and they want to call themselves the Lions, Tigers, and the Bears, and then maybe you don't have a fourth team, you can remove a team from the scoreboard if you need to. Okay, so let's say they choose Espanol for 200. What does Costa Rica mean? You could choose to either have one team answer or you could have all of them answer. So if they all answer, whoever says Rich Coast, you could then reveal the answer, and if they were right, you can mark them. If they were wrong, you can also mark that. So then once you click on it again, it will show that this question has been asked, and then it will update the scoreboard accordingly. So then for the next category, let's say they choose movies. What is the best movie of all time according to the AFI? Okay, all students make their guesses, or all teams. Citizen Kane was the winner. That's what the Bears had, not the Tigers, not the Lions. So then you would return and your scoreboard would be updated accordingly. And if you don't want students to lose points for their incorrect answer, then you don't have to mark them wrong. You can simply mark that they got it correct, and it will update their score accordingly. The second drawer we're going to open is the spinner drawer. And if you are anything like me, sometimes you ask a question in your Zoom meeting or when half of your kids are remote and half of them are on site, and you don't get anybody jumping at the chance to answer questions. They're just giving you blank stares. So a nice way to get everyone involved is to use the Flippity random name picker. So I'm going to show you how this works. So the Flippity random name picker is one of my favorite tools. In fact, I have made a spinner for each of my classes. So let me just go into this class, for example. Anytime you have students that are not wanting to answer questions or you need to increase engagement, you can simply click your spinner and it will land on a student's name, and then that student has to answer whatever your question is. Sometimes the spinner itself can kind of feel like you're wasting time, so you also have the option, if you go to these tabs at the top, you can click on single name, and instead of spinning, you simply just click the down or up button and it will randomly select a new student in the class, and that's whoever can answer your question. I also like using these spinners or this tool because it will put students into different groups. So if you want them to work in partners, you can select random partners using this tool. If you see, oh, I don't know, like Jorge and Jose probably shouldn't be together, they kind of cause trouble, then you can keep shuffling until you get exactly the combination that you like. And you can do the same if you want to make groups of 3, groups of 4. If you haven't really paid attention to how many kids are in the class, but you just know you want to split them into 2 teams, there's also a team feature. The third drawer we're going to open is our bingo drawer. Almost everyone at some point has made some kind of a bingo game, probably to review your vocabulary, or sometimes just as a brain break thing, just for fun. The Flippity Bingo is fairly self-explanatory. If you go into the template, you're going to type whatever your words or phrases are. But I'm going to show you the demo so you can kind of see what it looks like, because you can generate QR codes. They'll come out randomly for each student that has this link. We'll go to it and get a different QR code, which will then give them a different game board. If they don't have a QR reader, they can also just copy and paste this web address, and then that will show them their bingo board. And so on their computers, all they have to do is click the different spaces, and then once they have a bingo, you can either have them do a screen share, or they could screenshot their bingo card and send it to you, and you can check to make sure they actually have a good bingo. The fourth drawer we're going to open is the Matching Activities and Sentence Scramble drawer. Flippity does have a feature called Flippity Manipulatives. You can use this for a grammar review, to work on like sentence structure. You can use it for sorting and classifying. You can use it for memorization practice. This can actually be used in a lot of different ways. You can also use the manipulatives tool to just kind of get to know your students. So I'm showing you now from the template point of view a word sorting activity that I made for students to express their likes and dislikes using the Spanish phrases me gustan and no me gustan. You'll see that you have the option to color code different tiles, and so I've color coded green and red. You also have the option to change your backgrounds. There's some other options. You can kind of customize it. And again, once you've customized your sheet, Google Sheet, the way you want it, then you go to File, Publish to the Web, which I've already done. Then you go to Get the Link here, and then you can access your activity. So in this one, for example, the students would start their 2 columns, me gustan, meaning things that I like, and then things that I don't like. And then they would put the different, in this case, animals. They would separate them into which ones they like, which ones they don't like. So it can be just kind of a way to get to know your students. Here's an example of a screenshot that one of my students sent me when she was done doing one of my word sort activities. Another example of how I've used the Flippity manipulatives is when I have different sentences and I want to do a sentence scramble and have the students put them in the correct order. In this particular example, so we're looking at the template view right now, I have typed a conversation between 4 characters, and then I've color coded the different characters as well. So when I have it typed up in the way I want it, then I do click the link here. Here's the link, which I would share with my students, and then they would see all of the words in this dialogue that they need to put together. So it allows them to just kind of drag and drop, and then they can figure out if they have them in the right order. You can have them do a screenshot and submit it to you. The 5th drawer we're going to open is our word and number problems drawer. We've all probably spent lots of time making these little strips of paper, and we have students draw out a random strip of paper that has a task or a comprehension question, or, it's a card of some sort. They have to draw it out, answer the question, that type of thing. So another alternative that Flippity offers is using the Flippity randomizer. This can be used to generate ideas if you're doing some brainstorming. It can be used to facilitate discussions. You can use it for comprehension checks. You can use it to help them build sentences, math equations, that type of thing. Here is one example of a Flippity randomizer that I created to help students with sentence building and grammar practice. So essentially I have 4 columns, and in the first one I have possessive adjectives. In the second column I have nouns. In the third column I have a verb, it's going to be is or are, and in the fourth column I have adjectives. So when students view this, here's what it looks like for them. They essentially see 4 different spinners and they're just building sentences. So you can spin one at a time, or what I prefer is to just spin all 4 of them. And my third one doesn't actually spin because there's only one option. So then they have to form the sentence, your dog is excellent. So they would have to say, tu perro es excelente. Here's another example of how I have used the randomizer to increase engagement with my students. So what I've done is in column 1, I've typed all of the students' names. In column 2, I've typed a comprehension question. In column 3, I've typed the students' names again for someone to respond. And then in column 4, the students' names again because someone's going to be the cheerleader. So when we access this, and I can share this screen with everyone. They know who's asking the question, what the question is, who's responding, and then who's going to affirm them or give them a little cheer or coach them maybe if they don't have it correct. Okay, so in this instance, Raquel would be asking Jorge the question, ¿Cuál animal es gordo? Jorge would answer, hopefully correctly. In this one, we happen to get a double, which sometimes happens. So then Raquel would either affirm his answer, or if he's wrong, would coach him to get the right answer. And then once we get through that round, then the next round comes up. So this time, Alejandra would be asking the question to Diego, and then Agustina would be either affirming Diego's answer, telling him what a great job he did, or coaching him to get the right answer. One last feature of Flippity that I wanted to share with you is the Flippity typing test. So if you look at the Flippity typing test, essentially what the students are doing is practicing memorization. So they actually have to type the words of whatever it is that you want them to memorize or practice. So I'm going to show you kind of how I did that. When you first open the template for a Flippity typing test, again, you're going to be asked to make a copy of the document, which will show up in your Google Drive, and then it has all these different typing tests that are in here. So I'll show you one that I've already revised. I typed in some Spanish poems that I wanted my students to practice just kind of for fluency. So once you've typed in what you want, then you go to your Get the Link here. Remember the other step is to go to File, Publish to the Web. I've already done that. So then I can go to Get the Link here, click on the link, which I can then share with my students. And so here are the 3 poems or riddles that I've typed for them to practice. And then they would just click on one and then they would start typing it. And I always tell my kids to say it as you type it, so that way they're getting practice with their fluency as well. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation. Hopefully you got something out of it, maybe sparked an idea of something new you can try. There are a lot of other things you can do with Flippity, but these are some of the main ones that I've found that work well with high schoolers. But I encourage you to go to flippity.net, play around with it. Let me know if you have any questions on the template or the publishing to the web part, because that's a little different than what we're used to. But otherwise, enjoy and have fun.